Welcome back, Algebra 1. If you are onto this video, that means you've completed an entire unit, all of Unit 1, and you're on to the next one, so that's great news. We're going to talk about solving equations in this unit. Last unit we talked about solving expressions and simplifying expressions, and that would be half of the equation, but now we're solving entire equations, figuring out what a variable equals. And so we're going to talk about how to do that. So we're solving equations. The way that we're going to solve one-step equations is with inverse operations. So operations that undo each other. I'm just going to put ops. So inverse operations that undo each other. So we know that if we have addition, so say you take something, you take 2 and you add 3 to it. If I wanted to get back to my original, what I had at the beginning, the way that I would undo addition would be through subtraction. And so if I add 3 and then I subtract 3 to 2, I'm going to end up with what I started with. So we know that subtraction undoes addition, and similarly, addition undoes subtraction. So those two things undo each other. Same thing, if we have 2 times 3, and that would be 6. But if we wanted to get back to our original 2, we would just divide by 3. And then, so 2 times 3 is 6, divided by 3 would be 2 again. So those things undo each other once again. So multiplication undoes division, and division undoes multiplication. So we're going to keep that in mind as we try these examples. Now our main goal in these problems is to get the variable alone. So get the letter alone. Or we want to isolate the variable is another way to say it. So in order to solve equations, we know it's solved once we have something that looks like y equals a number or x equals a number. So we want to get the variable by itself. So in example 1, our variable, what is our variable? Our variable is the letter y, and we want to get that alone on one side of the equation. We, in the end of this, want to have y equals something. So in order to do that, we're going to use our inverse operations. So what's happening to the y? Well, we're subtracting an 8 from it. So taking a look down here, what undoes subtraction? Addition undoes subtraction. So we're going to add an 8 to this side. And so if we have y minus 8 plus 8, that's just going to leave us with y on one side. So we're going to have y equals. Now, whatever we do to one side of the equation, so keep those separated. Whatever we do to one side, we did it to the left side of the equation, we have to do the same thing to the right-hand side of the equation, because we always need balance when we're solving equations. So y minus 8 plus 8 is y. Then on the other side, 24 plus 8 is going to give me 32. And I just drew that wall so that you would make sure to do the same thing to each side, and we got y equals 32. And that's our answer. We found out that if we take our answer and we plug it in at up top, well, 32 minus 8 equals 24. So that one's good. On to example 2. Here we're going to want to get z alone. We want that to equal something, that's how we'll know we've solved it. And what's happening to the z? So first step, what is happening to it? We're subtracting 7/16. So subtraction, what undoes subtraction? Addition does. So we're going to add to this side of the equation, we're going to add 7/16. So if we take z and we subtract 7/16, and then we add 7/16, that's going to make that go away, and we just have a z left on this side. Draw our equals sign. Over here, we have to do the same thing that we did on this side. So we've got to add 7/16. So plus 7/16. So 5/16 plus 7/16 is going to give me 12/16. So we have z equals 12/16. Now we want to make sure that we have this as simplified as we can. So I'm just going to go from here, I'm going to go up over here. And you can always switch around. You can write z equals on the left and then have the other thing on the right, because it's still an equation. Now 12/16, we're going to look and see what we can factor out of that. So 4 goes into 12 3 times, and 4 goes into 16 4 times. So that's going to be the simplified form of our equation. We get z equals 3/4. As you're watching this, hopefully you're writing down notes so that you know how to do these steps, and so you can refer back to them as you work on the homework. Or maybe you have the homework next to you and you're writing them somewhere on the back of the homework or something. Alright, next one we have negative 2.3 plus m equals 7. So we want to isolate the variable. The variable is m. So basically what's happening is we're adding a negative 2.3. So remember that addition and subtraction are commutative, so we can move them around. This is the same thing as m minus 2.3 equals 7. So I can move these around if I'm not sure exactly what's happening in this. So now it's a little bit more clear. If you ever see a negative and then you're adding something, I would recommend just writing it like this, because negative 2.3 plus m is the same as m minus 2.3. So in order to solve this, we have subtraction. We're going to add, so plus 2.3. And we're going to add 2.3 to both sides of the equation, because that's where our equal sign is. And you don't necessarily need to draw that wall, but you can. So over here, negative 2.3 plus 2.3 is going to cancel out, and we just have m equals 7 plus 2.3, which will give us 9.3. And that's your answer for that one. Alright, one more problem. Here we have t plus 1.8 equals 4.2, or 4.2 equals t plus 1.8. So what's happening to our variable that we want to isolate is we're adding. So in order to undo addition, we can subtract. So now we're going to subtract 1.8 from both sides. And from there, we have t plus 1.8 minus 1.8. So 1.8 minus 1.8 brings us back to 0. So those zero out. And we get t equals, well, we have 4.2 minus 1.8. And so that's going to give us 2.4. And if you're not sure about that, you can certainly put that in your calculator. but t equals 2.4. So in all of these problems we talked about how addition undoes subtraction and subtraction undoes addition. So maybe go ahead and look at some of the problems that you see a variable is something's being subtracted by a variable or something's being added to the variable, and see if you can use this video to help you solve those problems.